And I got the.
I hope y'all are ready. This is not going to be a fun one, but there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I hope it's not a train. But we're going to get into it. Marcus and I are ready. We hope you're ready. Let's get it. There it is. What better quote could there be for this episode than this one? So these villains who call themselves governments well understand that their power rests primarily upon money. With money they can hire soldiers, and with soldiers extort money. And when their authority is denied, the first use they always make of money is to hire soldiers to kill or subdue all who refuse them more money. That, my friends, is what we are up against. There's a whole lot to get into tonight with this episode. I know that the whole FTX debacle is getting kind of stale for a lot of folks. It's a week old, but we're not going to just rehash that the way that some other people have. We're going to do our, as you know, we do our own little twist on this stuff, and we're going to look at things from a different perspective and try to bring some of these different things together to show you how some of the recent developments, including that one, are all interconnected. We got war, we got financial collapse, we have inflation, we have recession, we have CBDC, all of these things coming together to be I have equated this to like what happened with 9/11, where it was an excuse to go to war, to enrich the military industrial complex, but also to create the TSA, the Department of Homeland Security, and all of these NSA spying programs and everything else. Every time there's one of these emergencies, these are the things that happen. These are the things that are done. Marcus,
Hey,
what
buddy.
you've been digging into this thing and kind of like getting your head wrapped around it, because this is not something that we were planning on having dropped in our lap, but the last week has provided quite the smorgasbord of idiocy to dig into.
For sure. And one of the things that this reminds me of, it isn't actually 9/11 makes sense, but it reminds me of the right when and to be clear, this has been taken down by YouTube at this point. But my crystal ball that I had with the disease, because in that video, and you can still go watch the original, I don't remember, it's like 5 or 6 or some shit like that in the series, because the long version wasn't taken down, just the shorter clip version a year later was taken down. But one of the things that I said is that government likes things like, when I was at that time talking about the beer disease, that they like that because they can use it for a bunch of different shit.
Right.
And that's very true of what we're seeing with FTX. We're seeing that, in essence, what I've seen, just for those that don't know what we're talking about, it is a crypto-ish,
it's an exchange platform. Yeah.
Right.
It's basically like Coinbase or any of these other
right.
Gemini, those types of things. Yep.
Right. But this one happened to be ran by a huge Democrat who was using the slush fund to fund Democratic things. And one of the Democratic things that he was funding was Ukraine. One of the Democratic things he was funding, you name it, it was environmental stuff. He was using it to fund that. He also outright, and I think Hotep Jesus covered this really well the other day when he covered this topic. But but one of the things he did was he, came out and was like, throwing all this together like he's come from nowhere. But his whole family, way back before that, and it was interconnected to the Democratic establishment, and he was just setting this up because those of us who love crypto love the way that you can use it for different things and use it to kind of go around regulations and those kinds of things. Well, put in our hands, we're doing things like trying to skip out on taxes. Put into Democrats' hands, and they're trying to fuck over Republicans.
Right.
So,
well, and it's we'll get into some more of what it's all about and everything, but I think my take on it, or my, like, what I have gleaned from it, is it's deeper than just the Democrat part of it. I
sure.
get that's something that people have noticed, and it's, it's noteworthy for sure, absolutely. But it's not. That's a small part of a balanced breakfast. That
For
is
sure.
this whole debacle, because there's the money that was being I think that to the extent that the Democrats play a role in it, it's this money laundering scheme that's going on with the stuff with the Ukraine, and having money sent to the Ukraine, and then having that money invested in FTX, and then them absconding with it. But what so go in a little bit more. I'm trying to pull up some different documents and things like that we have. I'm a little late getting prepped for the show. I did a lot of this stuff in our Telegram chat, but I'm trying to pull that stuff up now so that we can actually bring it up on screen. And so forgive me if I don't have it ready for screen time just yet, but there's some really interesting stuff that I want to bring to everybody's attention, because, man, it's deep. It goes deep, and it's more than just Sam Bankman-Fried, or Fried Bankman, or whatever his, anyway. Yes. SBF and FTX. It goes way deeper than that. It goes way deeper than that.
For sure. And I think that Jay's got a good point. Eugenicists are utilizing the false narrative of altruism and climate change alarmism to bring about the changes to the money they require for domination.
Right.
Absolutely. One of the things that is another angle of this is they have been trying to do FedCoin for quite some time. And, there are people that believe, and I'm not one of them, but there are people that believe that Bitcoin itself was just a tool to get us to a cashless society, to where the government could take over the digital currency and begin controlling it. To me, that just shows that they don't really understand Bitcoin. Not that I'm an expert, but that's really what that kind of narrative tells me, when the person is like, oh no, this is all an op, and I disagree with that. I do think that James Corbett has a really good point in his series on media, which I strongly suggest anybody go check out. And that's the CorbettReport.com. It's one of the places that I tend to get my news from. And one of the things that he talked about was that regardless of what the technology, one of the first things the state tries to do is to co-opt it. And he goes through how the state co-opted the printing press. Great thing. We wouldn't have all of these wonderful works of literature at our fingertips if it weren't for that. Communication just exploded. And then he goes into like the newspapers and how that was wonderful. You could, and the telegram, how you could instantaneously have news from all over the world in seconds, and how that was great. And people really, but the government, they don't look at these kinds of technological advancements. I was actually having a very similar conversation with somebody at work today, but they don't look at these technological advancements and think, oh, wow, this will help humanity. No, they think, oh, wow, we can use this to rape and pillage, and I think that cryptocurrency, as it's developing into, is becoming one of those things that government is certainly getting their hands in it. And it should be obvious to folks that, because although I'm not on the side that Bitcoin is an op and they're just trying to fool folks, I'm not on that side, but I'm also not in the side that Bitcoin solves all our problems. Presto, we're going to get rid of government because now we can trade amongst ourselves. I don't think that that's the truth either. I think that the truth lies somewhere in between. So,
all right. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Were you?
Yeah, I was just going to say. So I was just going to say. So FTX looks as though part of what the score is they're going to use this debacle to delegitimize real cryptocurrency and raise up the which isn't actually
the safe and secure CBDC.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and look, I get it. That's what a lot of people have been talking about, but I want to get into, because this is something interesting about if you're a fan of this show and you've been tuning into this show, we're going to show you one of the reasons why that's a cool thing, and you're one of the cool people. So here we go. I'm going to share this tab here. So we're about to go into the matrix of I don't know, like multiverse Aquarian anarchy. This is our show that we did for the Super Bowl with Hotep Jesus. So get ready, listen up. This is us watching the reveal of the FTX Super Bowl ad with Larry David. And if you remember, like, I'm going to show you the ad, and so you'll get to see, but they take these steps through history of all these different moments where Larry David is saying, like, I don't know about the wheel. Nah, it's not a good idea. And basically, like, that FTX is the same as the wheel. That if you don't like FTX, you must be as dumb as the people who thought the wheel was a bad idea. That's the mental exercise they want to take you through. And this is our reaction to it as it's wrapping up. I want you to hear. I want you to listen to what Marcus says. Marcus hasn't seen this.
Right. I saw it at the time, but I haven't seen it in context.
Right. So here we go. Oh, is it muted? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, the symbol sets, man. This is because the next thing they showed was Assyria. Now we're up. These are the. This empires.
Is going to be a metaverse commercial. Watch. He's going to. Oh no! It's FTX. Okay, so we're gonna.
These are the empires.
Yeah, they did just go over each empire.
Right. Yeah. And in the Bible, the symbolism, there's a statue that they build. Each piece of the statue is like a gold head, and they just basically map that statue out. And the idea that the Seventh-day Adventists have put out is that America is the final empire and will come in is connected to Revelations. And in Revelations, it says that the beast, it's actually the second beast, will speak like a lamb. And anyhow, what they just did, but act like a dragon, more or less. And what they've done is they just
map the Long Tong Sun for the chat.
You're right.
So Long Tong Sun is here today with us, watching while his chat gets flashed up on the screen, and he nailed it. Crypto and metaverse commercials. This is where they were trying to point us. They were trying to head us in this direction, and we went through some of the symbolism of the Super Bowl. I mean, the halftime show and whatnot and everything in that episode. But I want you to keep in mind what Marcus just said. And now I'm going to share this other. I'm going to actually share that ad. I'm going to let you guys see it, so you can kind of remember what it is. You may have seen it here lately, because I think a lot of people have probably been sharing it. But I want you to watch it now that you have seen what Marcus just said, and just kind of get that in that context.
I call it the wheel.
I don't think so. What does it do?
It rolls.
Yeah, so does a bagel, okay? A bagel you can eat. One of the worst ideas I've ever heard.
Brother David, behold, it's a fork.
I got 10 forks right here, baby! Am I right? My lord?
What is it?
A toilet, my lord. A toilet? You expect this court to do its business inside? We're not animals. We go outside like humans.
It's coffee. It's new.
Oh, it's awful.
You don't like it?
I'm all jittery and feel like I got a big job coming on.
Hancock, you sign first.
No king! Gentlemen, have you taken leave of your senses?
The people shall have the right to vote.
Even the stupid ones?
Yes.
Stupid people vote?
Yes.
Edison, can I be honest with you? It stinks. Does your wife know what's going on here?
She knows I go to work.
You're wasting your time, and it's sad. You might as well put the dishes in the shower.
Hey, Catherine, what's cooking? We're putting the man on the moon. Are you out of your mind? I can't even get tuna without celery. Nobody's going to the moon, ever. Why not? It's too far. It's far. It's really far. It's far.
我々の未来はポータブルミュージックです。
バカか。バカか。わかるだろう。わかるだろう。わかるだろう。出ていけ！見ないのか！怖いんだ！バタリがいつも言えるぞ！バタリどこ！バタリ！
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
So there's another little thing where he like is talking to they're trying to let him back into the or he's trying to get back in and they won't let him into the congressional meetings. So check this out. Here's what I gleaned from this, because I'm going to show a couple of more FTX ads. Part of, and we've talked about this before, the Super Bowl stuff was a window into this. A lot of this stuff revolves around this necessity that they have of they have to show you and tell you what they're doing to you, and you have to voluntarily walk into it.
Yeah.
They can't come snatch you and throw you in the back of a van and make you do all this stuff.
It has to be voluntary.
It has to be voluntary. And once it's voluntary, it's on you. Just like all the stuff that we're seeing, while this stuff is under the, the big, public health emergency or whatever, the national health emergency, there's all this liability that, the manufacturers of certain things are not liable for damages that are done. And they can always say, hey, look, we haven't forced anybody to do it. We just made it really, really uncomfortable for you to not do it. But
they definitely use coercion.
But you still chose to do it.
Right.
You could have not done it. We didn't come beat your door down, hold you down, and stick it in your arm. We just said you can't go on a cruise. You can't go to a concert. You can't go to. So if you start having, the clotty clots and the carditis, keeping up with the carditissons. If you've been doing that, that's on you. That's not on us.
Right. Not our fault.
I want you to think about that and think about what this ad did. First of all, this ad told you every one of these things along the way. Look how stupid the people were who disagreed with it, who didn't see the vision, right? But then at the end, you have Larry saying, "Nah, I don't think so." And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Mm-hmm. And they tell you that it's safe and secure.
Right.
Have we heard that before? Safe and effective?
Just a couple times.
Safe and effective. It's safe and effective. It's safe and secure.
Just like government.
So now, because we were having this discussion in the Bitcoin Mystery School chat about how there's this, there's some pictures of SBF and his appearance. Like he's all disheveled. He's in like a t-shirt and shorts and sandals and socks and stuff.
But he seems that way most of the time.
Right. But the thing is, he's sitting up on a stage with Gisele Bundchen, a supermodel, and she's dressed to the nines. Sure. And the other person who's on stage is dressed up, and he's up there looking like he just got finished cutting the grass. That's what one of the guys said. He's like, I wouldn't even wear that to mow my lawn. And so I'm thinking like, but this is Dilbert. Scott Adams did a Dilbert strip about this way back in the day, where they would have like the engineers that look like the mad scientist that he's, I'm too busy doing genius stuff at a computer to worry about my appearance.
Yeah.
So that's how smart I am, that I'm so busy working on this stuff that I don't have time to comb my hair, to iron my shirt, or anything like that. And so people tend to like respect it, and they're like, they expect like, well, this guy, look at him.
Yeah.
He's just an innocent scientist. Now, if he looked like Gavin Newsom or Justin Trudeau, they'd be like, well, this guy sounds like a slick salesman. Maybe he's just, so there can be like,
and he looks like
weird,
a kid too.
Exactly. There can be this weird sort of like reverse psychology played on people with that. And so I look at that and I look at this Larry David ad. That's one. Then the next thing that I want to show is this one. So there's two of them I'm going to show you back to back. And because I want people to get an idea of what we're looking at. Again, thinking of it in this context of they have to tell you that like what they're doing to you and how they're doing it and all those things, right? And,
to be clear, I also want to add to that, Chad, that it part of it is these people are, as we've covered in our stuff on the occultocracy, these are rituals, these are magical formulas, and one of the things they have to do is, in order to manifest it, they have to treat it as real. It's part of what you do when you're doing a magical ritual is that you play it out. So this is also part of their ritual.
Right. So here we go. And you can see now they have how FTX went bankrupt, what went wrong in the bottom corner of this thing. Because now, like, that wasn't on here a week ago. This was just a regular old FTX ad. And so this is what they do. They get celebrities. They get Tom Brady. They get his wife, Gisele Bündchen, supermodel, which now they're divorced. Maybe it's because this FTX thing was about to blow up already, and there's a bunch of money being lost. And this, I would be willing to bet that like one of them is taking the complete L, and they divorced before this happened. Ooh, where's my tinfoil kufi?
Right,
that's my tinfoil kufi. They
it.
divorced on purpose. One of them is going to absorb this entire L, and the other one is insulated from it.
That's probably true.
Where it's going to go, like one of them's going to lose like tons of money, have to declare bankruptcy, and they're just going to be like, they're going to welch on whatever it is, and the other one is going to be just fine, and then they're going to somehow, I don't know, reunite later or something. But let's play the ad here. FTX
or not, because
crypto,
maybe they were just together to be show anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. FTX crypto. Tom Brady is in. Are you? That's the title of the ad. Here we go.
Can I talk to you about something?
Yeah, we talked about it. I got another 10 years left. Maybe 15.
Not that. This is big. What do you think? Are you in?
You know what? I'm in. Let's call everyone.
Hang on a minute. How dare you call this number?
Worst person ever. It's on the phone.
Okay, I'm in.
The worst person ever is telling you to do this.
Who's that? That was my mom. Oh. Hey, don't eat that. Yo, what's up? Yeah.
So I'm gonna pause it. You saw that. Like, I'm just telling you, like, look at what they're trying to tell you. So I know it's a Jets fan. It's the guy with the hard hat who does the Jets, Jets cheer, right? That's like, and so he hates Tom Brady just because the Jets and the Patriots is a big rivalry. They're in the AFC East. They hate each other. But the phone rings and it says worst person ever. And the worst person ever is recommending that you get into FTX. No. Right. The worst person ever. Forget Tom Brady. Look at the imagery. Look at the symbolism. Worst person ever says get into FTX. And you do it anyway.
Yeah. But you kind of covered that with the dude, man. He although he took that whole image right out of fucking Microsoft's playbook, because Bill Gates has been doing the fucking I'm a nerdy fucking piece of shit all his goddamn career.
Yep.
But you're correct.
So here we go.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm in.
I'm in. Hey, Arthur, I quit.
Regular people quitting their jobs. Like, it's cool. I got all this crypto. I got it.
I'm in.
And you don't hear the secret conversation Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen are having.
Right.
Hello, Tom.
Right?
Sue, Mark.
Are you in?
I'm in.
Somebody said dog.
All right, this last one might be tough.
Nah, he loves you.
Probably just getting on the dentist. This guy.
Trader.
First, even if you wanted to come back, we wouldn't take you.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, we
would.
You're right, we would. What's up?
I'm getting into crypto with FTX. FTX. You in?
What providing gives 360-degree access to the crypto markets with the ability to trade everything from alts to DeFi. I believe I'm in, but still hate you.
Understood.
Take care. Best of the family.
Is he in?
Yep.
Did he say he hates you?
He did.
Even on the phone, that guy sounds handsome.
So you see the play here, right?
Yeah.
Worst person ever and traitor.
Yeah.
Not traitor, TRADER, but TRAITOR.
Right.
Are the people who convince you to get into this stuff.
Which
They're
is the
telling you
devil.
They're setting you up. They're telling you that they're setting you up.
Right.
They're like, the great deceiver is calling you. The worst person ever is calling you. And they're
Right.
telling you to get into this. So if you did it and you lost your life savings, it's on you. We
Right.
told you. We telegraphed it.
Right. We
And you
told
did it anyway.
Well, and come on, let's be clear. Except for that little bit at the end, there's no meat in that. They
No.
didn't tell you why you want to be
They didn't
into
tell you
crypto.
anything. It was all marketing. It was
Yeah.
100% marketing and no substance whatsoever.
Right. I wouldn't go with
here's-
100%. There at the end, there
at
was
the
just
very
a
end,
little
right
bit.
at the very end, but it was almost like the very end was like the disclaimer telling you the side effects.
Right.
it's like if it was a if it was a Lipitor ad, that would be
Right.
the side effects. that
Right,
they're
for a
telling
minute
you
and a half.
for
Dude,
your,
not to really get into that, but have you seen? I had a first the other day. Was seeing one of those ads that we've clowned on
yeah,
before.
yeah.
They said more. Like at the end of the
Oh,
commercial.
yeah, the end of the commercial is more than the commercial itself. Absolutely.
No. They said there are more side effects. Look at this site. There was
Oh my
too
gosh, they
many
couldn't
goddamn
list
side
them all.
effects to make it into the goddamn commercial.
We couldn't list them all. All right, so last one. Steph Curry is not a crypto expert. So why are we listening to him? So he's telling you, I don't know anything about this, but do this because it's safe and secure. I'm going to tell you it's safe and secure, but I don't know anything about it. Then how are you going to tell me if it's safe and secure?
Right.
You don't know shit. Clearly it wasn't.
You were
But
paid.
you trusted Steph Curry to tell you what to do with your money. That's on you. That's what they're telling you. Here we go.
This is Steph Curry, the world's leading expert on cryptocurrency.
I'm not.
He's not making pasta, he's printing crypto.
No.
He
Printing
mines
crypto.
Bitcoin from a giant block of ice.
Printing crypto.
Okay, quit
He's
messing around, man.
mining
Give me some
Bitcoin
tips
from
on
the block of
crypto.
ice.
No.
But you are an expert, right?
No. I'm not an expert and I don't need to be.
I don't
With
need to be.
FTX, I have everything I need to buy, sell, and trade crypto safely.
Can you at least teach me how to
Safely.
shoot free throws?
If you were on FTX, you feel safe now? Damn. But anyway, so that's that's how they pull off the okie dokes on us is
Sure.
you get people buying into something that they have bought into on the trust that is built in from some of these celebrities. And like you said, there was no meat, there was no substance to that. It was
Right.
all fluff. It was all popularity. It was all like, I'm gonna wear this because Justin Timberlake's wearing it or whatever.
Right.
Sorry for going back 20 years, but you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing. It's like, all right, what's the new fad? Let me do that because that's the thing that we're supposed to do. How much does it cost? $175 for a shirt? No biggie. I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, come on. Like, yeah,
Yes.
we got to be smarter, and going into what's coming, we have to be extra smart. And so, as you know, what we do here, we don't just tell you the shit that's going on and then complain about it and tell you how like, oh, look, we're onto it. We figured out some fuck shit that's going on. No, we are going to try to help you navigate through it. We're going to get to that. But first, I want to bring up a couple of other things that we, let's see, where did I put them? Oh yeah, I have it in here. Give me just a second, Marcus. Sorry.
Sure. And I want to kind of read.
Yeah, go ahead while you're doing, while I'm
Right.
doing this
One of the
recalibrate.
things that I worked for an investment company not so long ago, and one of the things that they did in the end, like because I took calls for the investment company with people wanting, I saw this is people with money. This is the banking situation. You know, these are people dealing with their cash. And I got a call, and I don't remember it was like Nicki Minaj or somebody like that. This person was like, and I don't remember who it was, but she was like, Nicki Minaj said that I should do this. So I'm going to invest my money and da 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 da. And I'm like, are you a moron? Of course I can't tell them. Yeah, I know the answer is yes, but this is money. We aren't playing.
Let me make sure I got the right thing
shit.
pulled up here.
But unfortunately, that's a real thing. These idiots do go for that. And I do also, and you may get into this a little bit later, but I do want to tell people where this is going is not a happy place. You need to start, one of the things that I tell my daughter when because she's young, she's 12 and she's still impressionable and all of those kinds of things. But I tell her, you need to start deducing. You have to think for yourself. You cannot, you cannot rely on me to think for you. You can't rely on your mom to think for you. You have to do your thinking. And that's what we're facing is we're facing a bunch of people that don't do that. Right. They do not think for themselves, that are guided down a path by the people that are in power or the people that are considered popular. And those places that they're taking us, particularly with this topic and with money, because once you start controlling people's income, you got them. There are some things that matter more, food as an example, but go try to get food without money. But once you start controlling people's money, then and their access to their money, then you get a massive amount of control. It's what they were trying to do and failed in this country with the mandates. They were going to make it impossible for you to get money if you didn't comply.
Yeah, and so here's the let me scroll over here so I can look at it. But this is here come programmable dollars. New York Fed and 12 banking giants launched the digital dollar test. Now this is something that Cyprian, formerly Vin Armani, has described it. He said this is the same thing they did roughly 6 months ago in France. This is not like the real rollout of the CBDC. This is
just a test.
This is a different thing. This is on the Amazon Web Services platform, but it's a test. Yeah, it's one of it. The way he described it is, he said they have to do this so that they can. And Hotep Jesus did a really long breakdown of this yesterday, and it's really good. I recommend everybody go, if you haven't already seen it, go check it out, because it's definitely worth the time and energy. This is their way of saying, look, we tried, this handful of things. It's kind of like, when they do, well, you don't pay attention to sports as much as I do, Marcus, but here's what happens. So they started, there was a big kind of controversy, I guess, over hiring of coaches in the NFL for several decades, where they weren't hiring black coaches, and it was just like this old boy network where like the same guys just kept getting churned through, even though they may have been like 4-10 with another team. They'd get hired again anyway, and they get like 6 chances to be terrible before they'd finally be like, yeah, don't even bring him in again for another interview. Meanwhile, there are these black coaches that were just getting passed over all the time. And so what was funny was they instituted this policy where now you have to interview at least one, and you have to like show an initiative to interview black coaches. Well, what happens is this happens pretty routinely, and it happened with the Giants in New York. So there's Brian Flores, who was the Dolphins coach, and he got fired because he won too much, because they were trying to tank. They went like 1-7 to start the season, and then they won like 7 of the last 8 games or something like that. They fired him because he was winning too much, and they were telling him they were trying to lose games on purpose so they can get a higher draft pick. And then they were just going to put it on him, put the blame on the black coach, fire him, hire somebody else. Well, they fired him anyway. Well, while he's sitting there fired, the Giants hire Brian Daboll, who's now their head coach, and Bill Belichick, who's the Patriots coach, texted Brian Flores. He's like, Giants. And he's like, what? Did you hear something I didn't hear? And he's like, that's what I'm hearing. And he's like, hang on a sec. And then the news comes out that it's Brian Daboll that's getting hired. The rumors are starting to come out. And so Brian Flores texts Belichick, did you mean to send this to Daboll? This is Brian Flores. And he's like, oh, damn, my bad. That sort of thing. But so Brian Daboll's white. All right. He's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. He's a good coach. Sure. But the thing is, this is what they're doing with this CBDC thing. They're going to do this Amazon thing and be like, look, we tried this, so they can say we did something.
They did testing.
Right, that they tested. They tried a few different things, but what they went with is Project Hamilton,
right?
Which is on the backbone of something like Bitcoin, but it's not Bitcoin. And I want to say this because this is probably one of the most important things that anybody has said on this subject. And I didn't catch it at the time, but he reposted it today. Shout out to our friend Cyprian, aka Vin Armani. This is from February 19th of this year. He said, there is no constitutional right to access the central bank digital currency network. The tyranny that is coming in the next 2 years is an absolute end around of every socio-political safeguard you think exists. So even the things that you think might be like protected in the Bill of Rights, it's like, nobody said you couldn't say what you want to say.
Yeah.
We just turned off your access to the central bank digital currency network.
Yeah. There's
no constitutional protection against that. Just like they've already done the stuff with like, Section 230 and like the net neutrality and some of those things where they use these other different regulatory frameworks and things of that nature to constrict you and to make it to where I'm going with this is there's a reason why I did the Bitcoin Mystery School. I did it way later than I wanted to, but I just had to. It takes a whole weekend of 2-3 hours a day, and traveling like I do during the week, coming home and being like, "Hey, peace. I'm going to see y'all after the weekend."
All right, I'll be gone.
I'll be upstairs. Locked down. Don't come talk to me because I need to pay attention. It's tough to try to schedule that, and so. But the reason why I did it was because. And I'm trying to learn more. I want to learn some more with coding and how to make my own wallet and how to navigate this stuff, because where this is going and what is coming is if you're on these exchanges, if FTX and something happened to me around that same time that Vin sent that tweet out in February of 2022, where I had my Coinbase account got wiped out. I got hacked. I haven't talked about it on here. It's a sore subject, and I wasn't sure. Now that I know, what all went down and everything, I feel a little freer to talk about it. But it's still a sensitive subject for me. But long story short, I only had about $1,000 left on there, but it's gone. Someone else got access and sent themselves all my Bitcoin. I didn't have any Bitcoin on there. I had Ethereum and Litecoin, and they converted it all to Bitcoin and then sent it to themselves. And this is what Coinbase told me. They're like, and I keep getting these emails from them. It's like, it's safe and secure. This is how we're safe. Especially now, they're like, this is how Coinbase keeps you safe. I'm like, shut up. You're lying. You're full of
right.
Because even with all your KYC bullshit that I hate and I would not comply with, like you still made it to where like you make it harder for me to get on my own account than you made it for somebody else to steal my shit. It was all they had to do was like type some shit in a couple of times and boom, they were in and they were done and it was gone. So I don't want to hear it, but get your money off these exchanges if you still have it there. As soon as you can, because they are FTX, BlockFi. There's so many of these exchanges that they are not honoring withdrawal requests. Everybody who I know who has stuff on there, their withdrawal requests are a week old. They're still pending, and they get a disclaimer saying like we're trying to secure whatever, blah blah blah. No, that your money's gone. Yeah. This is a bank run. And they're doing all this. So people are really going to get hurt from this, legitimately hurt. And then on top of the fact that people are getting hurt, it's also an excuse to make people who are already afraid of it more afraid, so they can lead them to the slaughterhouse, which is the CBDC.
For sure. And there's a couple of things that I want to say to add to that. First of all, this, right now they're trying to make it out that FTX is causing a lot of this problems. People don't know. I went through some troubling times of late, and I withdrew a large amount of I still have some crypto, but I withdrew the vast majority of it to pay my mortgage and pay my bills and stuff like that, because I went through a moment of being unemployed, and which I'm good now. But it took me literally like 7 hours to get my Bitcoin out. I sat in a parking lot at an ATM just to get the Bitcoin out, because I needed to get it. And I couldn't get to the money. I couldn't do all of that. So that was a month and a half ago, that I was struggling to get my money from a Bitcoin ATM. I will grant you, but it was difficult to do. So this isn't new. And I've withdrawn money from the exact same Bitcoin ATM before, and it took minutes. So the difference is that they are starting to restrict these accesses to your cryptocurrency. And to be clear, for those that might be new and hesitant to crypto, I strongly suggest crypto. Like Chad was talking about, there's a lot of really good things you can do with crypto beyond the kind of higher minded stuff Chad's talking about. It is whether or not I used Bitcoin correctly, I made a net gain and doubled my money in about 2 years. And there's not very many investments you can do that with. So, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a good thing, and you should get into it. But the second thing that I need to point out with all of this stuff with FTX, and here in a moment, we're going to start linking this to some of the other fuckery that the government is doing. Don't think that everything happens just per chance. Elon Musk did not buy Twitter on chance. He has already said, this is public knowledge, that what he sees for Twitter is what China has with their fucking version of Twitter right now with WeChat. And so
WeChat and Payway, those are the two.
Correct. He said WeChat,
kind of like the wings of the bird that are there. It's the Black Vice and the Rack. If you played Magic the Gathering, so Black Vice, you can't have more than 4 cards in your deck or in your hand at a time, and the Rack is you can't have fewer than 3. So you have to have either 3 or 4 cards all the time. And so anything you do above that or below that, you lose 1 life point every round that you have for every card that you have over that or under that amount. So if you have 1 card in your deck in your hand for like 3 rounds in a row, you lose 6 life points in those 3 turns. So that's kind of the way this is. They clamp down and they make it to where it's like, okay, you want to protest, you don't have access to money. Stop protesting, and we'll let you have access to your money back in 2 weeks or whatever it is. And then they have their like green, yellow, red, magic virus stuff too, where if you test positive or if you were next to someone who had the magic virus, and they have their 0 magic virus policy. Nope, you don't get to go outside. It's 1 week if you have yellow, 2 weeks if you have red, and green, you're fine. You can do whatever you want.
Right. You can, if you want to see what they're trying to do, go look at China. They have drones telling people that they have to go back in their house. And, you can say all you want, it can't happen here. You are wrong. It is already happening here. The capability for the social credit score stuff is in your phone right now. That it's already there. They have already implemented it, and they're going to, phase all this shit in. Now, I don't want to say that it's all doom and gloom. It will not work. One of the things that I believe is none of this shit's going to work. They're going to try very hard to shut down the movement of money. They're going to try very hard to rob wealth from the regular individual who doesn't want to participate in their bullshit. They're going to try to do that. It will not work. It will fail. It's going to go to shit because government's not good at doing anything. So of course they're not going to be good at doing fuckery. So, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be painful.
I was going to say they're good at making the stuff difficult and painful, though. I mean, I'll say this: like, yeah, you're right that like ultimately they're going to have their difficulties, and I'm not denying that. But what I will point to is look at what they've done with the TSA and how they've made people comply with a bunch of stuff that we should not be going along with, but we are going along with it because we want to travel. And that's how this stuff works. They figured out a long time ago that access to carrots and denial of carrots is a much stronger motivation for people than just the threat of force. Now, not to say that they don't use both. They use the carrot and the stick, but they definitely realize that if you just keep people pacified long enough, they'll be fine. Hang on just a second.
Sure. And they've done that for the past 2 years. The testing grounds for what they're talking about, and we're talking about all out technocracy, and the testing grounds for that has been laid out in front of them. You know, if you say, well, the people won't do that, 70% of the American population, I believe, is the number of people that complied to a fucking shot in the arm that did nothing except hurt them. It did nothing. It does not prevent any kind of,
Hey, we're just talking about like going on vacation doesn't prevent you
from going on vacation,
from having a fight with your family. You might still have a fight with your family if you go on vacation. It doesn't prevent you from having, like, it's still you and your family. There still might be complications. There might be some pain and suffering. Somebody even might say something really mean that, causes someone to have a heart attack.
And die.
Be careful with the vacations that you go on. That's all we're saying.
Sure. Right.
We are also converting to a travel channel, just like Hotep Jesus did. So we want to make sure everybody knows that we are talking about if you have a shot at going on vacation, just be careful about where you go on vacation. That's all. For
sure. And the fact that they were able to get people not only to participate, but to shame others for not, that is absolutely, they showed what they could do. And, this is a paraphrase of something that Frederick Douglass said, but he's right. He said that, if you want to know the line that a tyrant will go to, it is what you will tolerate. When you start fighting back, and again, this is a paraphrase of Frederick Douglass, when you start fighting back either with words or deeds, then they give up. That is exactly what happens every time. They will go as far as you let them go. And that's why in my life, I do everything I can to not let them do a goddamn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Chad, back to the FTX conversation. Can you draw the line to how you think this impacts and is going to be used to bring in the Fed coin?
Yeah, so you already have so all right, so there's a few ways. Number one is so you have all the stuff that's wrapped up in just the FTX thing itself. The theft that was FTX, right? Because the reality of the matter is whatever you want to believe and whatever spin the media is going to try to put on this, that this is some we'll have the same kind of thing that we had from Obama with the financial crisis, with George Bush after 9/11. It's like, we have to make sure this never happens again.
Right.
And so we're going to put in all these new laws
Enron.
and regulations and everything. Yeah, Enron, whatever. We have to make sure this never happens again. So there's that part of it. But then there's also the actual, like, the boondoggle that was FTX.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you had someone who was posing as this philanthropist, this just weird, you know, autistic, nerdy, whatever kind of guy who, oh shucks, I just want to be generous and make a bunch of money so I can give it to people. I just want to give money away, and that's the whole reason why I want to be this, you know, billionaire, multi-billionaire, you know, crypto exchange owner and developer. So you have that. Then he's funneling money through the Democratic Party. He's also funding the Republicans. Let's be perfectly honest. This is not an exclusive. That's why I said, like, I want to be careful. Like, this is not just a rah, and you know better than that if you're watching this show. This is not your rah Republican show. This
in the name.
This is right. This is an equal opportunity offender, FTX, right? So you have the setup of funneling this money through politics, and then funneling money by some of these same politicians who were funded by FTX, funneling money over to Ukraine to help them. Then Ukraine investing that money back in FTX to grow it, I guess, or whatever. I don't know but it's like this. It's the craziest money laundering scheme ever. Then you have all the other stuff, Burisma and everything else with Hunter Biden, and 10% for the big guy. All these other different machinations that make their way into this. You have the Alameda, and like there's all these different pieces of it that are intertwined that make it the big boondoggle that it was. Similar to what you saw with the housing crisis, with like Franklin Raines and some of those, and his connection with Obama and everything. And then you go back to, you got George Bush and Dick Cheney, and oh look, Halliburton. Oh look, we're going to Iraq, and who's got all the things? Kellogg Brown and Root, Halliburton. Wow, it's amazing how all this stuff just seems to be all nested in these investment vehicles that pay off all the people who are making the decisions to do the things that are part of the ultimate plan anyway. So when you get back to that reaction to the crisis, now we start to see, okay, well, now they're putting Maxine Waters as she's going to lead this investigative committee or whatever, where they're going to interrogate SBF on this stuff and everything. Like, really, Maxine Waters? And shout out to Jev with Men of Order. He's talking about how, like, what is she going to ask? She's going to say something like, how do I get a crypto?
What do I do to get a crypto?
What do I do to get a crypto? Can I make one in my microwave? And like you got this old woman who doesn't even, like she said, somebody said
that chick's crazy anyway.
She said something about a gasoline station. Like, who has ever said gasoline station in their entire life? Like, that's how out of touch some of these people are.
She ain't never been to one.
Right, exactly. Right. Well, she may have been to one, but she didn't get out.
Right.
Somebody else pumped the gas for her.
Hey, man, Jeeves, please go get to the gasoline from the gasoline station.
Exactly. And so when you look at how all of these things have happened in the past and what ends up coming out of them, and it's this very slippery slope into, naturally all these investments made hella bank because they were all lined up perfectly for what was coming next. Well, now you got, all right, so Amazon's part of this thing. Who knows how much money they're getting paid, how much tax money is getting funded, to Amazon to use AWS for this little 12-week pilot program. Yeah. Then you're going to have the CBDC, right? Then you're going to have the CBDC when it actually is launched. It is going to be pitched as the solution to all of these problems, just like Homeland Security and the war in Iraq and Afghanistan were the solution to some stuff that some people did in September.
Right.
Okay, to paraphrase Ilhan Omar, some people did something, but it when you start looking at like how these things happen, it's like, wow, like, so this stuff is just it's made to look like it's whoopsie,
Yeah.
damn, if we only had more regulation, we could have stopped this from happening. It's like, really? Like
Didn't we have regulation?
the thing that y'all did this.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all did this. The people who are going to regulate the shit are the people who did it in the first place.
Right. And that's
if you
the
know anything
government's
about,
way.
Yes, and if you know anything about wildlife and fisheries, if you've ever hunted or fished, go ask around. Go to your local wildlife and fisheries and find out how many of the people who work for wildlife and fisheries used to be poachers.
Mm.
I've heard numerous people talk about this. Down here in the South, it's a big thing. There's a lot of hunting land down around where I live, and I was about to say in Indiana, Kentucky, and everything, same thing. Tennessee, same thing. All the rural areas, no matter where you are in the country, whether it's elk or duck or rabbit or deer, there's hunting territory, and you ask people up there to a man, the best game warden is a former poacher. Why? Because he knows all the tricks, because he's done them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they got the guy from Catch Me If You Can that Leonardo DiCaprio played. That's why he works for the feds now, trying to help stop counterfeiting and try to catch people.
That's why they brought the Nazis over.
He knows all the stuff that he did. He's like, oh, this is what I would do. If I was trying to outwit y'all, this is what I would do. I know y'all do this, this, and this. This is the gap you got to plug.
Yeah.
So like it's not rocket surgery, as Michael Myers would say.
Right. And to my point I made just a moment ago, that's why they brought the Nazis over here.
Mm-hmm.
To be clear, government is not here to provide you roads. Government is here to govern or control you.
Yep.
And the Nazis knew how to do that. So they brought them over because they wanted to learn how to do it better. Now, I just wonder if Russia's going to need some of our scientists here in a minute, because damn, they got this shit down.
Man. So anyway, so the from a solution standpoint, what I would recommend is that, I mean, look, we're there. The Bitcoin Mystery School community is really good, really, really cool. And very, we're working together to try to do some stuff. But to the extent that you can, if you know how to code, if you're a web developer or anything like that, like it's kind of an all hands on deck. What we need to be, you've seen the Terminator movies, you've seen some of this stuff play out where the solution comes from the people who know how to either hack the system or work around the system, who can find a way. Yeah, the pirate. Yeah, exactly. The pirate culture. We've got to be, and I'm not saying it from the standpoint of we've got to do this stuff and start stealing from people or anything like that. Like, no, sure. These are the people who are stealing this stuff. We're trying to avoid getting our shit stolen or getting our access to everything cut off. And the only way to do that in a digital world, and look, with all due respect, and Hotep Jesus broke this down yesterday, but this is something I've been saying for a long time. I do have some physical precious metals and stuff like that, because I think it's something that's worth being diversified to a certain degree. But the reality, the cold, harsh reality of the world that we live in and the world we will be living in is, I know we see this dystopian stuff, and I'm bringing up Terminator, and some of it is even present there. We're not going back to like Stone Age or medieval times or anything like that. We're not even going back to pre-colonial or colonial.
We're not
US.
even going back to the 60s.
We're not. No, it's getting more and more. This place is going to look like what's the place where they have the oh shit? What's the planet in Star Wars where they have the where the Senate is?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
Now. Yeah. But it's going to look like that, where it's going to be skyscrapers all over the planet, everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where they get their food from. It must be from another planet or something. But we're going more and more in that. Yeah, cyberpunk. We're going that direction. That's what we need to
Coruscant.
be.
He's right.
Coruscant. Yes, that's it. Coruscant. Croissant. Yes. Croissant also is a good one. Uriel, good try. It might have been shaped like one, who knows? But the direction that we're going is more technology, more of this stuff at our fingertips. It's probably going to be some shit that's going to be like damn near programmed into us. We're going to like fingerprint as much as we can avoid that stuff. I want to, but I don't know. I don't know where this stuff is going, because we already have some of the stuff that's like Face ID and thumbprint technology that's already built into the devices that we're using. So some of this stuff is somewhat inevitable. What we have to do though is we have to be building the parallel to be able to have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, so that we aren't like locked inside. And the other thing is, those of us who do understand this stuff, because the thing I brought up in Bitcoin Mystery School Telegram chat is that what I'm worried about is like my mom and my mother-in-law can't even program the remote.
Right.
How's she going to code her own wallet in JavaScript?
She knows Chad.
And so that's what I'm saying. So we have to step up. We have to step up and do what we need to do. That, what is it? Seeds will be the new local currency. I mean, there's something to a lot, ammo, guns, seed, food, those sorts of things. Yes, absolutely. But I got to go back.
That's not long term.
I got to go back to Cyprian. Like he's made a good point. Like, if you think your guns are going to save you, if they turn your wallet off and you can't buy shit anymore,
right?
It doesn't matter. And if they can make it to where you can't open doors anymore, they make it to where you can't get into your own house because you have all these like auto locks, and you have your biometric safe that your guns and your gold are in, and they turn that shit off. They turn all of it off. Now what?
Right.
So the answer is, you better be working on how you're going to turn it back on.
At the end of the day, though, I do need to point out that again, and I do try to be positive, and I get that I in the long run, something you've said, Chad, is we may not win this battle. I get it. All of that. I get that, I'm looking for rewards after this lifetime, not in this lifetime. All that. Absolutely. I get it. But that doesn't mean I don't want to fight. I'm not going to kick it around. Something that gives me some hope is that China's not looking at a big ass, and I saw this and mentioned it a couple of, I guess it's probably been several months ago on here, but they're looking at funding and building a wall that is miles long, that everybody lives in, that they never leave, and all of those kinds of things. If they could control the entirety of a country, they wouldn't be looking at those kinds of things. So, because I think that, like, for instance, those of us that are a little bit less urban, even if you're, I don't live that far from Indianapolis, but even if you're in, one of the interior portions of this country, you're probably going to be a bit more insulated. So there's that. So there's some hope with that. And I also want to point out to people, as we're having this conversation, that neither of us are anti technology. Myself, I made an argument with an article I wrote for Adam several years ago.
I remember that one. That's a good article. Yeah.
Right. Where I argued that technology is a good thing, and it can provide wonderful things to our lives. But unfortunately, our ability to do things technologically has overplayed what our ethical ability is as a species. And we need to, one of the things that I said in the article was that I don't want self-driving cars to come into existence under the system of world reality, namely statism, that we currently live in, because those ass clowns are going to hurt us with it. We need to start taking back the world in a moral and ethical way. And yes, I'm using the word moral. We need to get an understanding of what is good in the world. And start implementing that. We need to start focusing back on our families. And what does this have to do with all of the FTX nonsense? Because if we were doing what we've advised, if the whole world was doing it, if they were building communities, if they were looking at their neighbor as a resource and not as the guy you need behind a fence, then we would be prepared for whatever fuckery these people would throw at us. Because, all right, you said I can't, go buy food, but my neighbor can, and I'll just give him some little extra money to go get it. So we need to start getting ourselves to the mindset. Yes, we need to fight this shit. We need to fight the Fed coin. We need to do what we can to try to educate people into not moving towards the fuckery that the government is trying to do. But that's only part of the problem. The other side of that is you have to fill that vacuum that you've pulled out government with something. And what we need to be filling that with is morals and ethics.
Yeah. And so it's funny you say that, because I was having this conversation with my dad on the way home today, about how important prayer and repentance is. Because as much as we look at all this stuff and we complain about it and we think like, man, if we could just get these people to do this stuff differently, or if we could get these people to stop being tyrants, or we could stop doing this and everything. As I've gone through, and you've been watching it, I have the book right here. This book right here has been, it's not the first time I've gone through it, but like this time it's just different. It's hitting different because of everything that's going on. I think the first time I read through it, cover to cover, was almost 20 years ago, and things were a lot different, and my life was a lot easier, I think, then than it is now. And so I think maybe some of this stuff just missed me, and it wasn't as it didn't hit me in the gut as much. But I've come to grips in a way with my own role that I play in some of the evil and some of the destruction and tyranny that exists. I would be lying if I told everyone that like I'm perfect and I do everything right and every decision I make is moral, and that I don't get angry and I don't treat people poorly and I don't do things to cut corners, and then I haven't done some things that I probably kind of gave myself an excuse for. And so when I started, what I told my dad was, it's kind of funny that those of us who consider ourselves the good guys, like we're the good guys. There goes your heater. Must be getting cold over there, Marcus.
It is.
Hear that fan kick on. But those of us who consider ourselves to be the good guys, right? We give ourselves, and this is, you follow this to politics, and it happens with all these politicians where like the people who think their guy is the good guy will make all kinds of excuses for his corruption, his tyranny, his authoritarianism, his evil, his backroom deals, and all this other kind of stuff, and his lies and his deceit. And I start thinking like, wow, all right, so how much of that do I do myself, where I give myself a pass? I have given myself a pass in the past. I'm saying pass a lot and pass, but
pass it
but
on.
anyway. But
pass.
But think about it like this, right? So if I have all these flaws and I'm one of the good guys, right? I have all these flaws, and I'm out here trying to get right, and I'm trying to do the right thing, but I'm still messing up. And I'm just now realizing like, okay, I really need to be serious about deepening my prayer life and about seriously repenting and like making amends and making reparations on a certain level for the things that I have done and the corners that I may have cut or anything like that, like anything that I have done that could even be perceived as being not on the right path. Don't make excuses for it. Don't try to explain it away. Don't try to defend myself. Just own it and make it right and make it better and make myself better and trust in the grace and mercy of God to help me to be better. If I struggle with that and I'm not willing to do the work to get there, to fix that, I think George Soros is going to do it and Klaus Schwab is going to do it. Like, are we out of our minds?
Right. That apple.
Like, you really think we can change the world for the better if we don't even change ourselves?
Right.
We have to change ourselves first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this shirt is as true as truth can be.
Right.
Like, and so I almost want to make. I wanted to talk to you about this. I kind of want to make a red hat, and I want it to say, "Make your life matter again." It's kind of a play on all the, because I got to give a shout out to P-Dog Knight because he has the "Your Life Matters" mug, and I love that. I'm actually gonna buy one because I think that's a great way to flip that. But I wanted to flip it again and turn it into like this thing that's like, okay, so if you're on the right or you're on the left, like you look at this hat and you're like, make your life matter again. Like, oh shit, okay, like so.
I'll see what
all
I can
right, do. I got it. So it's what does it say? Oh yeah, when somebody says that they stole a cake but they gave you a slice, so you give them a pass. That's how this stuff unfolds. Unfortunately, we see it all too often. But we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to really like sit with that and like and look at, okay, well, what do I do with my my closest family and friends, and is there anybody I mistreat or anybody I take advantage of, or anybody who I'm too harsh with, or I'm too impatient with, too quick to anger with? All of those things, if we're not working on cleaning that stuff up, and it's not to say that you have to be perfect.
Sure.
We're all going to fall. We're imperfect. We're human beings. We're not angels. We're not Christ. But
we were made imperfect.
But what we were, yes, right. But what we are called to do is to never stop working to open our hearts to God's mercy and to do the work of repentance that makes that mercy flow more freely to us. So yeah, a red hat. Wait, red hat anagram. What? Oh, hatred. Oh, almost. It's close. It's not. It's close enough. Oh, hat red. I got it. Yeah. Yeah. I see it. Okay. But yeah, exactly. Some say Trump is the beast of Revelation, and some say he's John the Baptist, and they're both missing the reality. Exactly.
Right.
And that's I had somebody,
he's just a grifter.
Somebody very close to me post a picture right before the election, and it was like Trump with Jesus like behind him and I was like, yo, chill with that. Like, what, you don't think, like, all right, I'll believe it if you send me the same picture and it's Biden and he's got Jesus behind him. But they don't do that. Like, we only get one. You get whichever one's my favorite. That's who Jesus loves.
All right.
And the other one, Jesus hates him.
You know what I have to say about that? Here in a moment, I'll show you, because I really enjoy this. And this message is,
there you go. Hotel Jesus approved. I love it. Shout out to your homie.
Right.
I don't even know his name. I just know him as Hotel
Matt.
Jesus. Matt. Shout out to Matt, Hotel Jesus. But yeah, so the solution is twofold. It's in here. It's in our spirit, in our soul, in our relationship with God, and our relationship with God is only as deep as our compassion and our forgiveness and our patience with our fellow man. Because to claim to love God and then to hate his creation is hypocrisy at its pinnacle. But to love God, we must love our neighbor, even if our neighbor seems to be our enemy. Yes. Yeah.
And you know,
oh, the other part of the twofold solution is
Go ahead.
the crypto and learning how to do that so that we can navigate and survive through what's coming, because it's going to be, if you end up getting, you know, run into the slaughterhouse because you don't know how to handle this stuff outside of that system, then you're just subjected to it, and you're gonna end up being a slave to that system. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, you finishing your point. I just kind of want to dovetail onto that. And the at the end of the day, it's, you know, I remember the conversation that Josh Smith had with Hotep Jesus, and Hotep Jesus said, "We are about to see a bifurcation of the economy," and absolutely correct. That's where we're going. And we have a choice. We can either not participate in the economy that the state has and starve to death, or we can set our own shit up. And now there are a dozen different ways to do that. And I strongly suggest people check out Konkin's work, particularly on counter economics and those kinds of things. His works are pretty easily found. Derek Brose did a redo of one of his books as well. But we need to start, or we need to stop participating in their economy and claim our own. And, you know, at the end of the day, we do have time. This isn't here yet. Like Chad was saying with the program that's going on with Amazon, they're just testing this shit. This isn't going to be tomorrow. Now, but where we're in a different position than we were is that, you know, we're not 10 years ago. I remember being like, okay, I need to get a bunch of this shit done. I need some more firearms. I need this, I need that, and I need this, and I need that. And I didn't fucking get a bunch of that stuff because I thought, well, there are other
time.
things. Yeah, we have time. That time's gone. We've used that time. And I think the best kind of analogy is when I went and bought a firearm, because I didn't own a fire. I've owned firearms in the past. But when I went and bought my first firearm in years, a couple of years ago, my buddy Michael was just like, "Oh, yay, we're going to buy a firearm. Woo!" You know, and I'm like, you know, he was all celebratory and I wasn't. I was like, "Oh, fuck, I guess I'm going to get a gun." And he was like, "Why are you not excited?" And the answer was, because I'm not buying a gun because I like guns. I'm buying a gun because I might need it.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at with some of this shit right now, is we need to start, and it's a need. If you don't know your neighbor, go knock on their goddamn door. Hopefully they're amenable.
Yeah.
But go knock on their door. I realize it's wintertime and it's harder to do that, but start reaching out to your neighbors. Start getting involved.
Wintertime's a great time. Make them some stuff, some sort of like little Thanksgiving treat, or make them some Christmas cookies or something. It's a great excuse. It's a great excuse. Christmas cookies is a great excuse to go introduce yourself to your neighbors when you have been living in the same place for 10 years and you haven't met, 90% of them.
Right.
It's a great way to be like, "Hey, I know I've been here for 10 years. My bad. Here's some cookies. You want to, I live down there at this house, yada, yada." And then you'll always be that cookie guy. And when some of the weird stuff starts to happen, they're a little less likely to turn you into the feds.
Because you're the cookie guy.
Why would they turn on the cookie guy?
Right. And I've seen this already work in my community. Well, I was talking with someone that's from our community, and I've got gout, and I had this is the people that I got the elk from, and I had told them the story about that I have gout, and I was afraid that it was the chemicals and blah blah blah, and I was going to try elk because of that. I didn't know this, but their church is praying for my ass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like their whole church is like,
you have gout in your ass?
Yeah, I know. No,
They should pray for wherever the gout is. I'm just saying.
It swells that my ass is this big. No, but yeah, really though,
Dude I worked with used to get it. He would have it in his ankle and his elbow and stuff like that. Yeah, it's terrible.
You don't want to have it. But my point is that they're praying for my ass here in my town. When these people see me, they're going to be like, "Oh, that's that dude that has gout, and we prayed for him in church," And then when they're like, "Oh, he's an anarchist," they're like, "He's a nice guy. Anarchist must be all right."
Right.
So do that shit now. Get out there and get involved in doing that. Get yourself some crypto. Start whatever you need to do. Get a garden. Get firearms, get the things that you're going to need because you're going to need them. And we're not talking 10 years from now. It might be next year. So get this shit moving now. I realize, trust me, I am not a wealthy person.
Yeah.
I don't have a shit ton of money, but make yourself take a little piece and start preparing. And Amber and I have a pretty sizable garden. We have a pretty, we just to brag a little bit, it's fucking the middle of November. Do you know that I had fresh from my garden tomatoes today?
I can imagine. I pulled some zucchini off mine the other day. Now I had one that unfortunately I let it sit there a little bit too long and something bore through the bottom of it, and there's a hole that deep into it that's about that big around worms and whatever. But it's depending on how the temperature shifts and at what time it does, sometimes you can get an extra 2, 3, 4 weeks in your garden, even into it's not really winter until December 21st, but deep into the fall.
Right.
But I want to say one thing about that stuff. The material stuff is good because that's part of where we draw some of our comfort that helps our.
It's easier to have faith when your belly's full.
Exactly. I was going to say, but I want to challenge everyone because this is one of the things that this book has challenged me to consider is that sometimes it is out of compassion for us and out of love for us that God deprives us of things, because when we rely too much on the material world, we lose sight of what our essence is as spiritual beings and as children of God, made in his image and likeness, much more so in our spiritual sense than in our physical sense, although our physical sense is a manifestation of the spiritual. What I want to challenge everybody to consider is, we've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. There's going to come a time where you're going to be pushed to your limit and you're going to be tempted to give in to some stuff that you would swear you would not do because your faith in God will not allow it. And I would challenge everyone to do as much as you can of voluntary denial of self, be it fasting or some of the prayer, quiet prayer time and real examination of your conscience to see where there are some things that you can do to deny yourself in a way that is restorative to your soul and to the relationships with other souls around you. Because as important as it is to pray for Marcus's gout, right? More important than that is to pray for Marcus to not lose faith and to not offer his soul as a payment for relief from his gout.
Right.
Because sometimes that's the challenge. And if you look at the lives of some of the martyrs, the saints of throughout the years, there are some people who have endured much more than gout,
Sure.
much more than anything that I have had to endure. People who have had the skin peeled from their bodies and they're burnt alive, and they still never renounce their faith. They never give up what they believe in, because they recognize that beyond this physical realm, there's something much more important. And when we are challenged, and you look at like Job and the way that basically, the devil was like, I can get him. Watch. Let me torture him. Let me torment him however I want to. And God was like, go ahead. And Job just never, he doubted, and he had his moments and everything, but he was just like, no, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. And, so sometimes we have to be willing to kind of like think our way through that stuff and have those conversations with ourselves about where we're ultimately headed, and what all of this stuff does to play a role in either helping to lead us to that ultimate destination, which is the right destination, or which one of those will put us in a position where we say, no, you know what, I choose hatred, I choose anger, I choose wrath, I choose all of the things, death and destruction, that other people are choosing day by day as their bargaining chip to have some material relief here on this plane. And it's not worth it. I'm just telling you, it's not worth it.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to put a capstone on that is that there's a reason why one of the first things Marx does in the Communist Manifesto is go after religion. And that is because religion, everybody knows about the hierarchy of needs that Maslow, I think it was, that laid out, that if your basic needs are met, then you can move up to your love, and so on and so forth, until you get to self-actualization.
Yeah.
What religion does, regardless of the sect, does not matter, is it enables you to skip out on that pyramid and wind up at the top anyway. You could have no food. I mean, how many people that you've studied, Chad, had no food? They were starving.
Yep.
They were tortured. They didn't have love. They didn't have those kinds of things. But yet they wound up at the top of that pyramid at self-actualization, which is true freedom. The government in every form, regardless, wants to either become the religion or oppose the religion. Either one. And usually a little mix of both. And that tells you that if the government is attacking it, it's like when Biden said that China wasn't going to invade Taiwan, and everybody's like, well, shit, Biden must be attacking. We must be about to have China.
Something's about to go down. Something's about to go down.
Biden full of shit. and yeah, for the same reason.
It's like, it reminds me of that Mitch Hedberg joke where he's like, I hit a guy. He's like, I never had a hole in one, but like playing golf. He's like, I've never hit a hole in one, but I did hit a guy. He's like, you're supposed to say 4, but I was too busy saying, ain't no way that's going to hit him. Like, right. It's like when Biden says, ain't no way China's going to invade Taiwan. It's like, oh shit. Like, China's about to invade Taiwan.
Right. So, but my point is that as an anarchist, because there's bound to be people that are watching us that are like, y'all talk too damn much about God, and they're all, atheists.
There's nothing else worth talking about, honestly.
Right. I agree. And I would say go find another anarchist to listen to because we're going to talk about God. That's part of it.
There's plenty of arguments out there.
Right. Lots of people.
A lot of them are atheists.
Right.
So you'll be right at home if you don't like this.
So one, that's going on. 2, if the government is so goddamn concerned about religion and they're worried about religion, that should tell you it's the same thing that I've said about black folks. If the black folks are the people the government's trying to fuck over, They need to be my friends. Because evidently
they must be the good guys.
right. If the government's going after them, they're on my side. So we need to, as anarchists, realize that there must be some beyond the spiritual stuff. And I personally, I believe in the spiritual stuff. I'm a deeply religious man. I believe very wholeheartedly in God, but you need to support your local church. You need, and to be clear, I practice voodoo, so I need to support my local church, my local synagogue, my local pagan circle. I don't give a shit. Whoever is trying to fight God, these people need to be supported, because they aren't coming after the Christians. They aren't coming after the Muslims. They aren't coming after the Jews. They aren't coming after the witches. They're coming after anyone of faith, because they see danger there. Because whereas everybody else might be in panic, if nothing else, if Chad and I's faith does nothing else for us, when people are panicking, Chad and I will go, God, give me strength. And that moment of pause might be enough to save our families.
Mm-hmm.
So you need, in my opinion, you need to embrace whatever freedom brings you there. And I'm not trying to convert folks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. It's not my goal. If you're an atheist and you're a good atheist who just, thinks with that ethically government's bad, great. Watch us. You're going to learn some shit. But the reality of the matter is that I believe in God, and I believe God had a plan, and that plan takes us through some tribulation, and we're moving towards that tribulation as we speak. I suggest you get yourself the armor of God.
Word. Ephesians 6. Read the whole thing, not just 6:12, because 6:12 is like the bar, but it's what comes before and what comes after that. That's that kind of gives it its full context. Ephesians 6:12 is it is not with flesh and blood, but with powers and principalities. That part, but it's the stuff around that really like gives it its full shape and meaning, and colors in all the lines. And it's really important, because like I said, we don't know when that moment's going to come for us, but a moment comes for a lot of people, and nearly everyone. Some people are lucky; they just get they get hit by a car while they're walking to put the mail in the mailbox or something. It's just like, well, he didn't know. He must have been in God's good graces, because God was just like, yeah, you know what? It's your time. I'm going to take you out. I'm going to take you out nice and easy, in your sleep or something like that. But if it comes down to some of that other stuff, and you're Cassie Bernal, at Columbine, and they're got a gun to her face, and they're like, say God's bullshit, and we'll, and she's like, no, I'm not doing that. And they just shot her in the face. That actually even is easy. And in the book that her parents, I think her parents wrote it, but they had some other folks contribute to it and everything. There's a quote by Sadhu Sundar Singh where he says, to die for Christ is easy because it only takes a moment. To live for Christ is hard because it means dying to yourself daily. There's some other stuff that's really, and that's what I'm saying. Like if you die to yourself daily and start to clean some of that stuff out of the way, you'll get a clearer vision of what's really important, where your focus needs to be, and lean into love, lean into compassion, forgiveness, and it'll start to bear fruit in your own life. But then the other part of it is, if that moment does come where they're trying to tell you, like, hey, look, so check it out. We got your wallet turned off, and we're going to starve you and your family to death. Unless you, whatever the thing is, whatever the enticement is, or whatever their desired,
come with
whatever
better
their
donuts this time.
whatever their desired goal is that they're trying to get you to be part of, that they're enticing you with, like turning your ability to survive materially back on. If you haven't done all that other stuff, man, it's going to be really hard. If you're sitting there and you're on Pornhub and you're like, sitting there with a bag of donuts and, drinking vodka cocktails and everything, while you watch Netflix and, Pornhub at the same time, you're in trouble. You're going to have a hard time because they might just turn off your Netflix. And then you're like, turn my Netflix back on. Here, take one of my kids. Some people are crazy like that. Start getting your priorities in order. Yeah, start trying to get your priorities in order because I do this a lot. Like I've talked about this before. I've tweeted this out before, and I'll say it here because it's perfect for this moment. Sometimes I'm talking to myself when I say this stuff. Like I am not an angel out here trying to tell you like, look, guys, I've got it all figured out. Yeah, well, you don't feel attacked. I'm attacking myself. I just said it. I'm talking to myself. I didn't even see that before I said it, and I was like, oh, that's good. I don't know who winks with donuts, but it's a whole anyway. See, I'm already I already feel bad for just saying that because I gave everybody that visual and now it's terrible. Anyway, no, but we are all sinners. And I am not where I need to be by any stretch of the imagination. You don't believe me? Ask my wife. She'll tell you. Like she's even said to me, she's like, you say all that stuff on your show, and you say all that stuff on your little videos that you do in the morning, but then and I'm like, I know, I suck, I'm terrible. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Please I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna try to do better.
Don't suck, you're human.
I'm gonna try to do better. I know, but it's still like it's it brings you back to face to face with your nothingness and with your weakness. And so, oh my God, stop right now. Oh my God.
Just so everybody can see the joke.
Bro, that is too much. That is too much.
No, that's awesome.
Gosh, that's so terrible.
Dude,
man.
like I may have to make that happen. The donuts and the Netflix.
Stop.
I may have to make that.
No.
And I don't mean myself. I'm like as a t-shirt.
Oh, as a t-shirt?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, so
I do have to
let me bring it all back so we can
No. Before we can wrap it up, I gotta make this joke. So then this is like a elementary school joke, so just be prepared. So basically what we're talking about is to go to the party, you got to have a donut put on your dick. Don't worry, Chad. They will have Cheerios for you. And that's the end of the joke.
It's well played. Every now and then you need to, well, never mind. I'm just going to leave that alone because I already feel bad enough. I'm doing too much.
See, you got this voodoo friend. He's bad for you, Chad. Bad.
Yeah. Anyway, get your priorities in order and try to be ready because like when the rubber really meets the road, if you're not ready, man, you're going to be easy pickings. That's all I'm saying. Like, and I think it's interesting because it's a metaphor. What actually happened over the last 2.5 years. Look at the people who got taken out by the magic virus. Morbidly obese, people already with diabetes, all these heart issues and everything else. Your lifestyle was your undoing for the last 2.5 years. And I think that's kind of a metaphor for what I'm talking about here, that like, if you are still doing those things that are self-destructive behaviors, expect yourself to have a hard time not being destroyed when they try to destroy you.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. But if you are instead doing the work that you need to do to unshackle yourself from these attachments in the material world, you will have. You'll be. You ever played any of these games where you put on armor and all this stuff and everything, and like you can be really heavy and like you roll. They call it fat rolling, where you roll really slow. You roll really slow. Your agility's terrible. You might have like all this armor on, but whenever the boss hits you with that sword, you're getting everything because you don't dodge a damn thing. Okay. It's kind of like that. Like if you are weighing yourself down with all these attachments, you are not going to be able to, the way that it's described in here is like, the smallest thread, the finest thread, if it is wrapped around the foot of a bird and the other end is tied to a limb, it will still tether that bird to that limb, and that bird will not be able to fly.
Right.
So if you want to reach the ultimate and you're still attached to your Netflix or your whatever it is, it's going to be really, really hard. And I'm, like for me, some of this stuff comes down to there's some stuff that I enjoy doing that is taking time away from me doing what I need to do to get better at this crypto thing, so I can actually help save myself from and people around me from that. So I'm gonna have to look at that stuff and be like, all right, you got to go, and you got to go, and clear myself up some time so that I can do the work that I need to do. And if it were something like that, where like if I'm not praying because I can't pray, I've got to spend my time on Twitter making memes and cutting up and doing jokes, then, and I'm not saying that's about you. I know you have some you have good memes. Don't that's not what I'm saying.
I didn't get hurt.
I'm just saying, like, if for me, if I'm like, no man, I got to have my 2 hours of Twitter scrolling every morning, I don't have time to pray. Well, then the repercussions are on me.
For sure.
And so that's why I have prioritized some other stuff over that. Because that's what I used to do. I used to wake up in the morning, I'd grab my phone, I'd just start scrolling through Twitter. And then I was like, it'd be like, 8 in the morning. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta get going. Like, I got shit to do today. And then it's, you're behind the 8 ball. So just be on the lookout, protect your soul, protect the souls of the people around you, and do the work that you need to do to free yourself materially and spiritually, so that you can reach the ultimate happy place.
Amen. And the first
I
place,
almost said happy ending, but I
went to donut. You need some donuts.
I resisted, and then I went right back to it anyway because I was like, nah, you know what? I got to get this joke off.
Right, because you needed the donuts. You got to get he makes the donuts. That's a whole new thing.
I'm sorry, God. It's Marcus's fault. No, see that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't blame you. That would be disingenuous. Sure. Like, it's on me. Like, I made that choice. Sure. It's still funny though.
Right.
Hope you have a sense of humor about that, God.
I think God has one of the biggest sense of humors. All you got to do is say platypus.
He made me. He has to have a sense of humor.
But now, Chad's absolutely right. Get yourself right. The first place you should start was with your family. If you need to hug your kid, hug your kid. If you need to kiss your wife, kiss your wife. Get out there, get your family to know that you love them. And that is the first place step on the road to heaven is through your family. Now, I realize not everybody's got such an awesome family as I do and as Chad does, and I get that. But you can choose. My dad was a shitbag. He's dead now. I'm not trying to talk bad about the dead, but my dad was a shitbag. You know how I solved that? I'm not a shitbag to my kids. My kids are great. My kids love me and I love them. I solved that problem. And if I can do it, so can you. And so what you need to do is move forward, embrace love, and embrace freedom that comes with it. Because whether you realize it or not, freedom is the reaction of love in your life.
Jabari, you're not going to want to miss this one. You got to go back and watch it.
All right, we're sure. Jabari wants some donuts, Chad.
I don't know
Can
how
you
we
hook him
went
up with a Cheerio.
I don't know how we got from FTX to Krispy Kreme, but we did. Something tells me old SBF had a lot of donuts in his day.
Probably. I heard some shit about like kid porn and stuff.
Oh
so.
God, don't all right. With that, everyone,
right, stay free.
Stay free, my friends. Peace. Yeah.